Before I begin, I want to congratulate two groups. To all the students here today, congratulations, you did it. While today may seem like the end of a long journey after surviving through COVID and more, it is but the beginning of the rest of your life. Semisonic put it well when they sang, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. And yes, I know, word on the street is that I'm pretty darn old these days, so for those of you in the audience who weren't quite my age and can't afford to sit around on the couch all day, they punctuated the 90s with some classic hits. I definitely recommend to listen. Now to the parents, grandparents, and family members gathered here watching from home. The students you are celebrating put in the hard work to graduate, but I know it's you who sacrificed much to enable this day to happen. So congratulations to you as well. Class of 2024, it seems hard to believe, but you are graduating into the very definition of uncertainty. Today's world is racked by multiple global wars and power struggles. Global superpowers are increasingly at odds, and democracy is in retreat. Frankly, there is more uncertainty today than I can remember living in to date. In order for you all to live up to your potential, you are each going to have to grow as individuals. Part of that growth is learning to accept uncertainty and the fear that comes with it, especially at the beginning. Embracing uncertainty is a difficult, tall task. So let me share a few hard-earned lessons I've learned that help me embrace the uncertainty in my own life and conquer my own fear. First, we have to go back to high school. I thought playing high school was like the coolest thing that anybody could do. So showing up as a freshman on the football team, I remember feeling like a kid next to the 18-year-old men that were on the field. And at first, it was a big challenge because I had a lot of doubts. Would they think I was as skilled or as capable as I thought I was? Was I actually as capable on the field as I was in my own head? And would the cool kids respect a skinny 14-year-old, or was that all they saw me as? As I progressed through the season in my high school career, I slowly got the hang of it. I finally felt like I had it fully under control by the time my senior season came around. However, when I went to college and walked into the quarterback room at Pitt, it was deja vu. I started questioning everything and having doubts all over again. To my relief, I began to notice that I was in a similar mental cycle as the beginning of high school, just in a different place. I realized that back in high school, I had actually checked all the boxes fairly quickly. Unfortunately, it took me a while to recognize it, and that was a prerequisite to overcome the doubts. This time I was able to quickly realize it and had again entered the same cycle and used my past experience to overcome it faster. I learned that the faster I could recognize patterns, the faster I could overcome the hurdle and use it to my advantage. It didn't matter if it was reading progressions, preparing for meetings with the coaches, investing, or conducting some kind of business. Remember this lesson. Pattern recognition is key and can save you a lot of time, effort, and energy. When I transferred here, I had to get my feet under me again. I began to realize the more I put myself in difficult, hard situations, the more I could improve. I needed to focus on preparing and getting better every day. I had to answer questions about my performance honestly. I had to be able to accept and be okay with being wrong and being corrected. I had to be able to learn from others and each experience. I can still remember sitting in the meeting room in this very stadium, knowing that I was going to be called on by my coach. I still had a lot of questions to answer about myself. Would I rise to the occasion and be prepared? Was I going to trust myself and stand firm in my answer and have conviction? Or was I going to let the coach talk me into something I knew to be wrong? I learned that being prepared is more important than being correct. Being prepared gave me the strength to have the conviction I needed to stand firm. And even if I was wrong, it gave me the ability to accept that. My confidence grew, and I knew I shouldn't fear being wrong. Instead, being wrong was just a chance to learn and get better. Remember this, it's okay to fail. Just learn from it each time you do and get better. Now, when I got drafted to Baltimore, one of the things we like to say was get comfortable being uncomfortable. We wanted to drag other teams into the mud with us where we knew we could play smash mouth football and win. It wasn't pretty, but it got the job done, and that was the most important part, or so I thought. I brought the hard-earned lessons of pattern recognition with me, whether on the field reading defenses or in the meeting rooms trying to establish myself despite being the young gun. Now, of course, when my time in Baltimore comes up, the first thing everybody wants to know is what was it like playing with Ray Lewis? Now, it seems like an easy question to answer, but there's so many things you can say. So one of the coolest, I always tell people, one of the coolest things about playing with him was watching him come out of the tunnel. The energy that you could feel in the stadium was unlike any other. But even cooler than actually watching him come out was turning my attention to the visiting sideline and seeing all of their jaws on the turf. It definitely made you feel good about what was about to happen that day. I always tell people this till I end. I truly feel bad for anybody who didn't get to witness that in person. I never even found myself a big fan of entrances, but when I saw his, I completely changed my mind. But more importantly than that, I can still remember the first time I met Ray. One of the biggest personalities in the building and one of the most intimidating football players of a generation. To my surprise, he said hello and embraced me. Aside from learning that his shoulder was the hardest surface I've ever touched in my life, I learned a lot about my assumptions. Growing up, I idolized fantastic players like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. I assumed that anyone who had a huge personality and was that intimidating on the field must be a mean, unwelcoming senior wanting to bully the youngsters and make us feel unwanted. I couldn't have been more wrong. I realized that they were not only really good football players, but they were also really good men. These guys were tough. They'd seen a lot and respected hard work. I approached the team by keeping my head down, working hard and playing football, and they respected and supported that. I still had trepidation being the new guy in the building, but over time I figured that if I really wanted to accept and embrace uncertainty and fully overcome the fear, I just had to win it all. Surely those who reach the greatest of heights have figured it out, right? Well, I climbed the mountain, I won the Super Bowl, I was named MVP, and that's when I realized I hadn't figured anything out. The next day I had to start from scratch, but that was when it all clicked. The UD motto, knowledge is the light of the mind, made a whole lot more sense. For the first time, I figured out that I had been searching for the wrong thing the whole time. I had been trying to figure out how to eliminate the uncertainty, but really I should have been trying to figure out how to embrace it. By embracing it, I could use it to my advantage. It is impossible to remove uncertainty from existence, but it does have value, especially when you fail. I failed in Baltimore and got traded to Denver. Then I had surgery on my neck and faced incredible uncertainty about whether I would ever play again. After ending up in Philadelphia and New York, the uncertainty kept piling up. Through it all, I held on to the knowledge that failure was okay as long as I learned from it, and got back out there to try again and execute. It didn't matter if it was coming back after making a bad throw or waiting for my next chance to play. As long as I could brace uncertainty, thus getting rid of the fear, I could find peace and set my mind to the task at hand instead of worrying about what was ahead. Now, right now, most of you are rightfully focused on your careers, but there's a much bigger and more important aspect to consider: family. Now, I've been incredibly fortunate to have really strong relationships with family and friends. I wouldn't have been able to get through everything in my life without them and their support and help along the way. More importantly, I wouldn't be who I am today without those relationships. So later today, make sure you thank your family and tell them how much they mean to you. And when I say family, family is all-encompassing. It doesn't have to be your biological family. It can be a family you choose. However, you do need to find those people and commit to those people. Whether you succeed or fail, everything becomes so much better if you have them along for the ride. And remember, commit to those relationships, invest in them, and be there for your family no matter what. Continuing with the theme of family, becoming a parent is one of the greatest challenges you will face in life. Growing up, it seemed like my parents had it all figured out, almost as if me and my siblings had come out with instruction manuals. Having my first child made me realize that not only is there no instruction manual to be found, but it is up to you as parents to figure it out. And no amount of preparation ever seems sufficient. You are responsible for a life to care for and nurture and mold into a good person. This is the most important and fulfilling thing we do as humans, and we do it without any guide or prep manual. You, like me, will make a lot of mistakes along the way. You will question whether you are worthy of being a parent because your parents seemingly did it all correct, until you realize they didn't have the answers either. So remember, you don't always have the right answer. You don't always have to have the right answer, but you do need to embrace the uncertainty and work as hard as you can to figure it out. Last year, for the first time in my life, I started my 16th NFL season on the couch. No team had signed me, and I was waiting for the opportunity to come for me to show the league and the world how ready I was. Despite the uncertainty, I was able to appreciate that time I got to spend with my family, preparing myself to take hold of any chance I got. When that chance finally came and Cleveland called, I had put the work in and embraced the uncertainty, and win or lose, I felt a sense of satisfaction with the whole experience. I was only able to do that because of the relationships I had built and their love and commitment surrounding me, coupled with the experience and knowledge I had gained in embracing uncertainty to my advantage. I had put myself in a position to succeed, but only because I wasn't alone in my journey. You are all going to create your own journeys through life and learn and grow in your own ways. I hope some of the lessons I've learned will help you in embracing uncertainty faster so you can enjoy life sooner. Failure is okay as long as you learn from it. Pattern recognition is essential in any situation if you want to keep improving. Commit and invest in your relationships, regardless of whether they are connected to you by blood or not. Don't worry about being right. Just focus on working hard to prepare and embrace uncertainty to figure things out. And lastly, I'm sure you guys will do us all proud. So once again, congratulations.